This customer wasn't content with any of the dishes she was served. She kept complaining and sent all of her dishes back to the kitchen until Chef Ramsay decided to do something about her. And that's just one of the times when customers hated the food on Hell's Kitchen. To start things off, we've got a customer from Season 7 who not only disliked the dish, but also accused Chef Ramsay of something really insane. On the 8th day, Chef Ramsay was looking forward to a good service like he always does, but his expectations were destroyed when the very first order came through. While Jason Ellis served overcooked scallops, Jay Santos served undercooked ones along with risotto that wasn't seasoned right. Which reminds me, if there's anything that could instantly spoil my mood, it's tasteless food. And I'm sure Chef Ramsay feels the same. But thankfully, the Red Kitchen had a better start until they hit a roadblock as well. The frustration reached its peak when Frank Lear sent out an undercooked risotto to the pass. Meanwhile, the blue team managed to get into a good pace thanks to Santos' deft hands. But at the same time, Autumn Lewis slowed them down considerably. Needless to say, Chef Ramsay wasn't having the greatest of days. He was already annoyed by how both teams screwed up at the beginning of the service, but then Siobhan Allgood made an unforgivable mistake. If there's anything Chef Ramsay hates more than tasteless food, it's wasted food. Chef Ramsay despises when chefs throw away perfectly good ingredients, which is why Allgood made him furious. Her order of scallops turned out to be a mess. She tried to get away with it by saying that she thought the scallops were golden brown.
Look at this! What are you doing there?
I thought they looked golden brown, Chef.
But in truth, they looked charred. However, she continued to insist that some of them were fine and okay to be served. Well, I'm not sure why she thought it was okay to argue with Chef Ramsay, especially when she was totally in the wrong. To call her out, Chef Ramsay then mockingly asked her which of the scallops were good while pointing at each one of them. But that wasn't the end of it. Allgood was asking for more trouble. Chef Ramsay discovered an entire order of boiled scallops lying on the counter. At this point, all she had to do was shut up and cook. But then she started talking back, and it's obvious how that ended. Chef Ramsay got so mad that he shut her down in the most iconic way possible.
There are some on here that were fine, Chef.
So, where's the fine ones then?
They're right over in
Where
here.
are they? Where are they? You've got the nerve to tell me that some of them are fine. Wishy-washy, not even seasoned, and do you know what, more importantly, they're boiled. You donkey! Look at that! Get out!
As a punishment, Allgood wasn't only asked to leave the kitchen, but she was also forced to finish the entire plate of burnt scallops all by herself. No wasting food, remember? While there was so much drama happening in the kitchen, both teams somehow managed to pump out their entrees to the customers. However, one customer just wasn't happy. Instead of complaining to one of the servers or even to Jean-Philippe, the customer took the matter into his own hands and went straight to Chef Ramsay. Not a good move, man. I know the food might have sucked and you're not here to eat substandard food, but of all people you decide to walk up to, Chef Ramsay, really? Now that was a decision this customer was going to regret. Everyone knows that Chef Ramsay is always busy with orders that flood into the kitchen. And what's more, he sometimes has to deal with incompetent contestants that make it even harder for him. While he's trying his best to piece everything together, imagine how he'd feel receiving a complaint directly. Well, that was the only spark that was needed for him to explode. But here's exactly what happened. First, the customer walked over to the kitchen and placed his plate on the counter. He didn't even utter a single word. He just stood there with all of his mighty pride and waited for Chef Ramsay to notice him. But what he was really doing was waving a red flag at a bull. When Chef Ramsay asked him what his issue was, the customer arrogantly pointed towards the plate. I'm really not sure what this dude was thinking at this point. Is Chef Ramsay supposed to somehow guess what was wrong with this dish? Needless to say, this encounter didn't sit very well with Chef Ramsay, and this is how he reacted.
Oh no, this is fair. Service, please! Who is this man throwing food on the whole plate? What's the matter? Well, talk to me. Look at me. Look, excuse me. Hey. Don't come in here acting like jumped up like some little gym bunny. Now do me a favour. You yes?
But the customer failed to learn his lesson since he continued to hold his ground. The customer opened Pandora's box when he accused Chef Ramsay of poisoning him.
You trying to poison me?
This beef idiot, eat tartar.
Low-grade beef at
Go have a
best.
shave, you knobhead.
Low-grade dog
Let's
beef
go.
at best.
Oh no, he really shouldn't have done that. Chef Ramsay almost immediately slammed him down by calling him a fucking jerk.
You trying to poison me?
Poison you? What a
He then tried to imitate him and slammed him down once again by telling him that he looked like a fucking quail.
standing there like some jerk. Stand strong, buddy. Push your arms out. You look like a quail.
But guess what? I do feel a little bad for the customer. I mean, he didn't get the quality food he was paying to get, and then he was humiliated right in front of everyone for sharing his displeasure over the meal. If only he knew the reaction he was gonna get. This should be a lesson to not approach Chef Ramsay directly. He would have been given a new plate of perfectly cooked food if he did it the right way. But, well, he chose to ruin Ramsay's night. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, Chef Ramsay was still frustrated with both teams. The famous chef still hadn't cooled off after the incident with the customer. What's more, the Red Kitchen's Nilka Hendricks sent raw chicken to the pass.
All of you, come here. Pink chicken. Not just pink, but f***ing raw. Raw. It's not fair. You can't just do that.
What angered Chef Ramsay even further was that Hendricks knew that the chicken was raw and still sent it to the pass. I can't even fathom why she did that. And well, things weren't any better in the Blue Kitchen. Chef Ramsay was still frustrated with Lewis's slow pace. When Ed Baragalia tried to communicate with Lewis, there was no response from her. I mean, where was the teamwork? But then both the teams were sailing on rough waters. When Baragalia's duck came out raw, Chef Ramsay had enough with the blue team and kicked them out of the kitchen. However, the red team followed them right out the door as well when Clear served them salad without any dressing. Chef Ramsay was already irate, but it was the last straw when Clear sent her risotto to the pass raw.
Touch the risotto. Taste the rice. Up and down, up and down, up and down. You, and him. Get out!
Well, that's it. Chef Ramsay was done for the day. A human can only tolerate so much torture in a single day. Anyway, while this customer tried to intimidate Chef Ramsay to get his attention, what this next customer did humiliated the hell out of him. On the 9th day of the 5th season, both the teams were asked to make their own menu. They featured beef carpaccio, steak, and ambitious potato garnishes. This included Ben Wolanka's pomme fondant and Carol Scott's gratin dauphinois. In the Red Kitchen, Giovanni Filippone managed to get the red team off to a good start with his beef carpaccio appetizers. While he was pretty confident, the appetizers were sent right back for lacking flavor. An annoyed Chef Ramsay lectured him about slicing the beef on a seasoned plate, which effortlessly helps in adding flavor to the beef. So you've got yourself a pro tip there, guys. Use a seasoned plate the next time you want to add flavor to your beef.
When you slice the beef carpaccio, slice it onto a seasoned plate.
Meanwhile, in the Blue Kitchen, Wolanka's beef came out very salty and Chef Ramsay made the team taste it. Wolanka admitted that he added more salt to make up for the over-reduced bisque.
Right, all three of you, come here. Taste time. Quick, dig in there, yeah? Quick, dig in there. Hey, salty soup.
Yes,
You're
chef.
just reheating it. You're clumsy.
Yes,
you
chef.
salted it.
Yes, chef.
You over-seasoned it.
Yes, I did, chef.
Chef Ramsay was irritated. But what pissed him off even more was the fact that Wolanka came up with excuses to cover up for his mistake. Meanwhile, the red diners were enjoying their food while the blue ones were left waiting. However, there was one red diner who was still unhappy. She previously asked for a refire, and when she received a fresh one, she believed that it was the same thing that was brought back.
Has absolutely zero flavor. It's like eating a piece of paper. It's the same goddamn thing. You plated the same thing.
This time, the customer didn't complain to Jean-Philippe like she had the first time around. She wanted to be heard, so she went straight to Chef Ramsay. The customer rudely called out to Chef Ramsay by saying, "Hey chef," and surprisingly, Chef Ramsay responded, and very politely at that. When she complained that the food was tasteless and bad, Chef Ramsay respectfully dismissed her after thanking her for the comment. But this lady wasn't content. She was probably expecting an apology or something. And so, to get Chef Ramsay's attention, she whistled at him. Hearing this, Chef Ramsay immediately chewed her out.
Yes, chef!
Yes, madam.
Totally flat. No flavor. Second time I've had her.
Okay, thank you.
Chef!
Right. Don't whistle at me. I'm not your dog, yeah? You look more like a dog than I do.
The customer thankfully realized that she should just go back to her table. But Chef Ramsay wasn't done yet. When he sent out the refire, he asked the server to give it to the quote-unquote dog and asked him to keep watch so she didn't run away with the plate.
Give that to the dog, yes? Put a lead on it in case he runs off with the plate. Let's go.
At the very same time in the Blue Kitchen, Chef Ramsay was confused by the appearance of Wolanka's pomme fondant since they were usually cooked in butter and not blanched. A frustrated Ramsay told Wolanka that if that was a pomme fondant, then he was the Pope.
Where's the pomme fondant?
That's it, chef.
I thought pomme fondant was cooked in butter. Nicely done. If that's the pomme fondant, yeah, then I'm the Pope.
In the Red Kitchen, Chef Ramsay caught Scott pouring hot cream on the gratin in an attempt to save them, but Chef Ramsay wasn't having any of it. He furiously tossed the potatoes into the bin and chewed her out.
What is that on
I
there?
just poured more cream on it. I'm gonna put it back in.
Are you mad?
No, chef.
I wouldn't even serve that to a pig farm, madam. Forget it. You don't care, do you? Because if you did care, you wouldn't serve me that crap. This is supposed to be your exciting menu. You're going a little bit loopy, you stupid cow.
But when Robert Hesse and Wolanka continued to make mistakes, Chef Ramsay just shut both kitchens down. Now, while the whistling lady complained that the dishes were tasteless, this next customer from season 2 almost finished his entire plate, then realized that his risotto was missing the main ingredient. What he failed to realize was that for all complaints to be valid, you need to share them as soon as possible and to the right person. If not, nobody can help you from facing the consequences. On the first day of the season, both teams were eager to show Chef Ramsay their potential. After all, a chance to work under Chef Ramsay is a huge opportunity. However, as both teams received their first ticket, they started making mistakes. In the red kitchen, Polly Holiday started to struggle at the appetizer station, and in the blue kitchen, Tom Polly slowed everything down. When Holiday sent her first risotto to the pass, it came out overcooked, glued to the plate, and missing mushrooms. Chef Ramsay was dismayed, and he felt even worse knowing that she made such a risotto after receiving help.
And what's that?
That's your risotto
But
with butternut squash.
where's the mushrooms?
So they're right in there.
And this is with help.
Yes.
This is with a team.
On the other hand, when Polly sent his order to the pass, the scallops came out raw, and Chef Ramsay couldn't understand what was happening with both teams. After an hour, the only thing the customers received was bread. How disappointing. But despite the delay, things didn't get any better in the red kitchen. When Holiday sent her refire to the pass, the risotto came out tasting bland. Chef Ramsay couldn't believe how disorganized the red team was.
Polly, I need an answer.
6 minutes.
2 minutes, Chef.
No, 6 minutes.
2 minutes.
6
Who's running
minutes,
the
Chef.
section?
I'm running it.
However, after Polly's refire was accepted, the blue team was finally back on track and the appetizers started leaving the kitchen. However, one of the customers wasn't happy with his risotto. The customer complained that his risotto didn't have enough pumpkin, but here's the catch. He had already eaten most of his risotto. Now, this is where I put my thinking cap on. If he disliked it so much, why did he eat it in the first place? And if he almost managed to finish it, then why complain about it towards the end? Well, he probably just wanted to eat some more free food. When Jean-Philippe called him out on this, the customer got into an argument with him.
There's no pumpkin.
There's like these little
There's no
bits.
pumpkin.
I don't want it.
You don't want it. Well, you finished it almost.
There's no pumpkin in it.
Yeah.
This is like ordering risotto with no rice.
And things didn't end there. Just like all the other customers in our video today, this customer wanted to speak with Chef Ramsay directly. However, Chef Ramsay asked him to wait, but the customer rudely interrupted him and demanded an answer. That's when Ramsay logically said this.
Is there no pumpkin in my risotto?
Right, can you get out of the way? Are you always going to be that rude and interrupt when I'm trying to talk?
I just want more pumpkin. That's all I want.
Right, well, I'll get you more pumpkin. I'll ram it right up your Would you like it whole or diced? Can we get security and get Knob back to the seat, please, yeah?
I just want pumpkin.
Meanwhile, the red team was struggling with their first order of appetizers, and it was already an hour and a half into the dinner service. When Holiday was on her fourth risotto attempt, Chef Ramsay had enough. He was fed up with all the food wastage. He then switched Holiday with Heather West. Chef Ramsay eventually named Holiday as the kitchen donkey, and food finally started leaving the kitchen thanks to West. But things started to get a little shaky for both teams when they moved on to their entrees. In the blue team, Gabe Gagliardi pissed Chef Ramsay off for being slow on the meat. And well, in the red team on the other hand, Virginia Dahlbeck sent undercooked Wellingtons to the pass. With both kitchens struggling to send out food to the hungry diners, the customers started to get restless. The entire dining area reverberated with words like "I want my food." And seeing this, Chef Ramsay only had one thing left to do. Sadly, most of the customers had to go home hungry, but this next customer was bashed by several viewers for acting too entitled. This is one of the few cases where the food was great, but the customer thought otherwise. The 13th day of the 14th season was the first Black Jacket dinner service. On top of that, Hell's Kitchen hosted a special guest that night, and it was none other than Tatum O'Neal. At the beginning of the service, all the contestants were geared up to give it their best and prove their worth to Chef Ramsay. But that's not what happened. After receiving their first order, Michelle Tribble was quick in sending out her salads. But how she did it annoyed the hell out of Chef Ramsay. While serving the salads, she used plates instead of bowls. And well, at this stage of the competition, it's crucial to get everything right. Not just what you serve, but also how you serve it. Later, when the second order was called out, Nick Peters brought a stone-cold lobster tail. This pushed the entire team into starting all over again. When the special guest for the night walked through the doors, everyone was under pressure to give it their best. And finally, the VIP guest was ready with her order. But the very first order fell flat when Tribble walked up with a tuna that was cold in the center. Chef Ramsay immediately got her to start all over again. Obviously, the famous chef only wanted to serve the very best and he didn't want to leave any room for complaints. Needless to say, Chef Ramsay doesn't allow subpar food out of his kitchen. And while everyone was excited to receive O'Neill's feedback, once the food reached the VIP's table, O'Neill started nitpicking the dishes. Seeing this, Peters got really annoyed. O'Neill ended up calling most of the dishes mediocre and went into full-on judging mode.
Here we go, guys. Okay, I think this could have looked a little more of a circle.
1 hour into the service, the team moved on to their entrees. The team was slowed down due to Josh Travato's lack of communication. At one point, Travato was a mess after his station caught fire, but thanks to Megan Gill, the situation was under control. However, Chef Ramsay was dismayed to see Travato all frazzled up. Meanwhile, when it came to the entrees for the VIP table, the team was worried because of Travato, but he eventually was able to get the chicken out to the chef's table. After all the drama, when O'Neill received her Wellington, she started to complain about it being raw.
This is mediocre. I want to try that. Next raw. That is so lame.
Everyone was getting really annoyed with O'Neill, even Chef Ramsay. I think Chef Ramsay was even regretting the fact that he invited her. She talked so much smack that it pissed everyone off. Come on, the food couldn't have been that bad. O'Neill then asked for a halibut, but Peters was super annoyed. And well, they decided to serve her their award-winning halibut. Finally, O'Neill was happy with her dish. Well, that's one way to end a service. And you know what's the best way to end off this video? By dropping a massive like down below and subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Now that you've done that, let's see what the fans had to say about O'Neill's behavior. As expected, soon enough, fans pitched in support of the kitchen rather than the celebrity. One said, "Did any one of you notice how Chef Ramsay had to hold back how irritated he was when a perfectly cooked Wellington was sent back?" Another said, "Tatum is so lucky. Had she not been a VIP, Gordon would have ripped her apart." So these were the times customers hated the food on Hell's Kitchen. Come to think of it, imagine what would have happened if O'Neill had complained about the halibut as well. Would Chef Ramsay just throw her out? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching, guys!